In this episode, Dodgers and Yankees in what's going to be the highest viewed World Series ever. Find out what the most impressive win in week number 7 was in the NFL. Chiefs trade for DeAndre Hopkins, and special guests coming right on up.
It's time for the Bookie and the Bettors show, live from Baldini's Casino. Beat the Bookie. Make every bet count. Reno's #1 sports radio show is now on streaming platforms. Now, introducing the Bookie, Rob Kowalski, and the Bettors, Randy Weig and Nick Schulte.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Bookie and Bettors show. I am your host, Robert Kowalski, joined by my colleague, Nick Schulte. Welcome.
Hey. How you doing?
And really special guest coming all the way from Sacramento, Danielle Alan Aragorn, a.k.a. Slot Queen. Thank you so much. Slot Hubby is here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is actually something that was almost unexpected, so we're really, really thrilled that both of you are here today. Talk a little bit about sports, talk a little bit about slots. So,
thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
We're very, very appreciative of having you here early. Of course, special guests that you come here to Baldini's about
once a month.
Once a month or so, right? And so we're very grateful for them to have us on our show here today at the Bookie and Better. We'll talk a little bit sports, like I said, talk a little bit about slots. So if ever you had any wonders just how often do these jackpots hit, I actually have a couple of other questions that I did jot down, and so we'll get the hold of those in just a moment. But first things that I wanted to get to was some of the things from the very top, and we're going to have some fresh new opinions here. Really glad to have that. Well, let's go ahead and actually start off with the event that's going to begin tonight. Dodgers, Yankees, game number 1, 5:08 p.m. here at the Book of Baldini's. We opened up the series price. Dodgers was about $1.25. Went a little higher. It's about $1.30 right now. Price is about the same for game 1's result as well.
Who said it was going to be Dodgers-Yankees back in May? Was that
there may have been somebody with brown hair and a beard and glasses that did mention we could just fast forward to this time back in April.
Yeah.
Was it that difficult to predict?
Well, I do
two of the highest payroll teams in Major League Baseball, right? Top 5 payrolls, biggest markets in the World Series.
Is there any chance that we actually see a different kind of result, or it always just funnels this way? I mean,
more often than not.
Okay.
I think it's going to funnel.
Well, so then we did. We got the result that we kind of expected. Yeah. Let's talk about game number 1. You got a selection here. How do you think that this series is going to flow itself out?
Well, there's a difference between what my heart wants and what my mind thinks.
Perfect.
So what my heart wants is I want the Yankees in 4. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be Dodgers tonight.
Alan?
I'm definitely thinking Yankees.
I like the confidence.
Yeah,
as we can tell, for those of you that are listening in, and thank you so much for listening in on us wherever you get your podcast.
I need to put it on right
the
there.
hat gets switched.
Yes, yeah.
Use your camera.
So I am a Giants fan through and through, but my American League team is the Yankees, always has been. Cool story, I got a 1961 Cooperstown Yankee jersey, pinstripe, blue and tan. It's absolutely amazing when I got it 15 years old at a sports store in Rockland. So really neat. But I think it's Yankees. I don't think it's in 4. I think it could go the distance. I think the Yankees can outduel them, being with the injuries, with the pitching staff, with the Dodgers. I think hitting's going to be out of control. Both are absolutely loaded.
How many runs have the Dodgers scored in like the last 7 games? It's like NFL numbers.
That's a great point. It's an awful lot of runs. And actually, Danielle, I don't know, is this the World Series that you wanted? I'm guessing that it's...
No.
I didn't think so.
No, yeah. Definitely a Giants fan with the hubby. But, I mean, with that, it's been embedded in my mind for over 30 years to hate the Dodgers. So I'm going to have to go with the Yankees.
Well, so, look, with 46 runs scored in 6 games in the NLCS, it really just came in bunches and it never stopped. How do we see, is this... first to 8 runs is kind of the way you're going to look at how you want to win these games. What do you think?
I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment, but I think it's going to be lights out. I think it's just going to be a run scoring all day long, or it could be a pitcher's duel. I'm hoping for the runs. But,
Hey, no, I'm not going to let you do that. One or the other there, friend. Don't be towing the line.
Let's go runs. We're going runs.
Typical runs. Yeah. Do you find, Alan, do you think that the series ends up more runs over the total than under in each of these games, regardless of the starting pitchers?
I do. I think we're going to see fireworks with the batters for sure. Just too many big hitters in here. And the Dodgers, up and down their lineup, have guys that could slap the ball around all over the field. So, I mean, I do think at the end of the day, there'll be less runs scored off of the Yankees pitchers than it will be I think there's going to be a lot of runs coming off the bullpen of the Dodgers. I mean, they just got too many arms down right now to see. I don't know. It's my hope.
This is hope. And clearly, so obviously we have 3 opinions. All 3 of them are on the plus side of the series price. Go ahead and take a look at that price once again at the Book of Baldini's right now. Pretty much shop around, but as I always say, you want to find your best price. The Yankees plus 110 to win the series against the Dodgers right now, and that's a price that you could find not only at the counter, but on your betting app on your phones. So go ahead and take a look at that as we move on from baseball to some other topics, some things that I wanted to take a look at together. Conversely, across the table is what we saw actually in Week 7, and as we move forward into Week number 8 of the NFL, a couple of pretty impressive wins, some things that, as we're reaching a trading deadline, the natural deadline is actually not for a little while away, but we already saw several wide receivers move from one team to the other in hopes of giving them the offense that they need. The one thing that I looked at was Kansas City, and let's just stop there for a moment. Still undefeated, and yet they found themselves finding a need because obviously Rashee Rice has been out since, week number 2 or so. Hollywood Brown, they went and traded for. He got injured in preseason, so they never really had a complement for the entire season. And here we are in Week number 8. It's basically been Kelsey and then a cast of however many that you can get.
Wide receiver by committee.
Wide receiver by committee. Add player D. Play on letters. DeAndre Hopkins moves from Tennessee, and boy, he couldn't be happier to come on over and play for a winner. That was not hidden at all in any of the comments that he said. So let's take a look now as we peer into Week number 8 and beyond. Some teams that have been pretty impressive that we didn't expect. I'm looking at you Steelers. Some others may have said, it's one thing that you can do when you have a quarterback from last season. It was Trubisky and whoever else they wanted to throw. But now it's Russell Wilson instead of Fields. He had no problems doing what he needed to do, but the question was it Pittsburgh just being that good? Was it the Jets being that bad? Or something else? I don't want to stick too much there. All of the above is actually a real fair way to look at it. If I had to go and pick between Steelers, Lions, I'm not actually going to pick. I'm going to have the table pick. Steelers, Lions, Kansas City Chiefs, Green Bay Packers. Who was generally mostly impressed with from that group from last week?
I got to go with the Steelers. Just Russell Wilson. When was the last time he really started a game and actually had?
Wasn't last season.
And look at his tenure that he had, and everybody was high on him when he was in Denver, and didn't really work out too well. So we all kind of thought that he was kind of over the hill and on the downward trend, and he comes out and cooks like that. I think that's a pretty big win, and to win it the way they did, it was. I would put them as the number one best win of the week.
Do you think, Danielle, do you think you find an NFL team this year that you are mostly surprised with? We're 7 weeks, so we're not quite at the halfway point. You find a team that's overperformed or underperformed in your eyes right now?
Oh, for sure. The Niners.
I think we could all go underperformed on that.
Yeah. I have to listen to my husband so I'm a football widow for how many weeks of the year, because there's no getting him back. But he finds a way to integrate, so it ends in like January-ish, usual Super Bowl. By February, we've already studying for the next year. So
gotta put that work in.
Yeah, so he's hyped him up to me for the last, all summer. No, we're going to be so great. Every phone call I hear him, there's going to be so great. And then I see the record, and I'm like, oh, you want me to wear what today?
Let's stay here, actually, on the Niners, because there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. I actually didn't even know. I mean, I had an idea we would talk about the Niners every week.
Shocking.
But, the table is just rich with real great content that I know we're going to talk about from a Niners perspective. This is a team that way back in August, actually even before then, when we looked at the schedule and we released the schedule, I took a look at a pretty deep metric. Didn't talk about this for a bit now, but this was the toughest schedule that the NFL has given one franchise in over 20 years. From a perspective of how much rest teams get, you have no idea how many times the Niners go from a Sunday to a Thursday night game or some kind of truncated schedule where you don't have enough rest.
Yeah, they're like, what, minus 22 days?
It is
in comparison
exactly.
on average?
If you look at the metric, it's 22 days less rest than they had year over year. You cannot beat that, no matter how good or how deep you are.
Obviously, there's a lot of factors in that, but you just look at the injuries right now, and I think that would probably lend its hand to that for sure.
Alan, one thing is to play with what you find out is pneumonia. It's another thing when you have, I'm talking about Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. He's done for the rest of the season. He's not coming back from that.
I heard he's wanted
injury.
for robbery. We need that $30 million a year back. Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Christian McCaffrey is yet to take a snap after visiting Germany and looking for alternative medicine to get his body back in order. Running game kind of really wasn't missing him, although when you're talking about Christian McCaffrey, you don't know just how good he is until he actually hits back onto the field. How much are the franchise missing these key players right now as you look forward into week number 8?
So I think probably the two biggest players that we're missing is Dre Greenlaw, for one. He's huge on the defensive end, and Christian McCaffrey for sure. Brandon Ayuk, I mean, unfortunately, he wasn't really producing when we needed him to anyways, and I think that Juwan Jennings being out, that hurts us big time too, because Juwan Jennings being that third wide receiver was doing a lot of damage when he's out there on the field with them. So I would say McCaffrey, Dre Greenlaw are the biggest needs that we need to get back. I think Jordan Mason's done a great job. I lean towards play calling too. We don't want to really say that too out loud as 49er fans, but you got situations.
Push is going to come to shove eventually.
Yeah, you're on the 3-yard line, 4-yard line. It's first down. Instead of pounding the ball 3 times, in those tight quarters that Purdy's chances of throwing an interception are pretty high. So I think Kyle Shanahan needs to bring the run game back. Pound that ball, then open it up and let's start hitting some slants to Deebo if he's healthy. Hopefully Kittle's sprained ankle or sprained foot is better, So I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely nervous about this game right here. I think.
Yeah, because if they don't win Sunday night, I think why even bring Christian McCaffrey back and risk that injury? Just kind of play for the draft.
It's over.
I'm going to go ahead and pose that. Actually, that's actually my next topic is to bring this up. Yes, there's a full schedule of games. No bye week in week number 8. Everyone's playing in week number 8. Danielle, 5:20 p.m. It's Sunday Night Football. It's Dallas and San Francisco. We've got the game open to 3.5 here because of, where
we're at.
That bias. The Niners are a 4-point favorite. The total 47. Cowboys coming off of, a beating is the only way to put it. However, they now have themselves upwards of 13 days rest for this matchup coming up. Battered is probably a safe word that I could use here with the 49ers and their injury list that I'm looking at right now. Think they're 4 points better, or am I completely off here as a bookmaker?
I think they've got Dallas for sure.
I like the confidence.
Yeah.
I like the confidence.
It's more of like a dislike for Dallas that this is coming from.
Any true Niners fans, just like any true Giants fan. If you love the Niners, you hate the Cowboys. If you love the Giants,
so
you hate the
I mean,
Dodgers.
no matter what,
the way I was raised.
All right, I can't. Obviously, I know I'm not going to be getting anyone backing the Cowboys.
Well,
I did bet the Cowboys.
I was going to say I was
at
going
4 points.
I was
I
going to
did.
blow your number out of the water here in about 2 seconds.
I did. I think the Niners will win, but I don't know that they're going to win by 4 points.
Yeah,
I mean, that's 5
field goal
points.
game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a field goal game if we win. So,
But just back to
I think they're going to blow them out.
loving the confidence. I hope you lose your bet. So.
I hope I lose my bet.
But calling back to last week, kind of going into your world on how you set these lines, and you kind of say, hey, I mean, home field advantage is worth 2 points,
Yes.
right? So you take that 4 down to a 2, and then obviously our location, proximity to the Bay Area, we
Yes.
know people bet favorites, so generally
at a half point.
yeah.
Sure,
So really, instead of a 4-point game, it should be a -1.5.
correct. That is absolutely correct.
If you want to pick up some free points, yeah.
If this game was in London and you take away home field advantage, that metric, I typically apply 2.5, anywhere between 1.5 to about 2.25 points difference, depending on where you're playing at home.
Exactly.
Actually, we talked about that this morning on Fox 11, like which home stadium has the biggest pop. I mentioned it was Green Bay, San Francisco, Seattle,
I would say
Kansas City.
Seattle.
So real great fan bases and everywhere, but those in particular, I just find myself circling a little bit higher for each of those. So
I got a question for you.
I thought casino slot math was hard.
So, so looking at the Panthers Broncos, would the Broncos be that favored if Andy Dalton was playing, or is this more based off of Denver's defense?
that's a fabulous question. It's all of that and more. We typically have a little book that says by this point, some teams have already kind of closed the book on the season. Carolina fits perfectly in that position. There's simply nothing that could happen that could bring this team to anything except loss after loss after loss. So there is no more home field. There is no more consistency that you could find in them driving and finding ways to get themselves more points on the board. When you take a look at this game, you say to yourself, well, the total's set to like 40 points. If Denver's already a double-digit favorite, can anyone say that the Carolina Panthers in Denver can score 20 points? Right? Most people will say...
I'll save my money.
Well, they'll say they can't get to that. On the inverse side, can we say that Denver can reach 3 touchdowns, 21 points? The answer was typically yes. Right, so I could already find that little bit of a vertical right there and say, well, I know I've got them by a touchdown, and then I'm going to just let the public decide how much further it goes from there.
Gotcha.
So knowing that it was 7, I already knew that the first step was going to be on Denver, so I said, what if I just happen to go to 8?
Yeah.
Or go even further than that? Well, it's double digits.
It might be a trap right there.
Well, we talk about that a lot.
I heard that word a few times on this show.
I think the Lions-Titans is also a trap. I think the Lions get up so far that they end up just pulling players, and the Titans get a bunch of garbage time, and the Lions don't cover. But I actually bet against that on another one.
Oh. So with Titans plus 11.5.
Yeah,
Okay.
I took them.
Okay, so Nick, I want to see how further ahead do I have to go to get a buy on the other side from you? Are you laying or taking in this game? Detroit and Tennessee.
I think the Lions win by. I think they would win by 12. It would have to go to probably 13.5 before I took Titans.
So what you're telling me that right there on paper, I didn't have to do anything. I've got two-sided action just like that. Mind you, this is not scripted in any way. This actually happened exactly the way it was. I didn't even pick the game, as a matter of fact. Alan chose
Everybody's got an opinion, though.
And we happen to just get two different sides of this story. This is sports betting
It's the Titans.
at its best.
It is the Titans, but we see crazy stuff happen in garbage time
100%.
when they stop.
And that's a pretty big point.
A couple bullcrap touchdowns get thrown, and all of a sudden it's not covered, and you see it all the time. It's that extra point and a half or that extra 2 points that these bookies throw on their stuff that catch us, that have us sitting there, have us thinking this entire thing is scripted because of that.
How is this happening? This is literally like bits and pieces across this entire season that I've heard this come up, and it's completely unscripted. Too much fun. I actually do want to go back and cover a couple other games in week number 8. I have been tracking Nick's selections. They are official, so we know exactly what his record is against the spread. He is treading water, let's say that. He's doing okay, and we'll go over his picks from last week, and we'll ask the table for their opinions on some of the other games as well. However, I do want to come back to Danielle, Slot Queen. See, here's some questions that I had for you from a different part of the casino floor here at Baldini's.
We'll take it.
I find that many of the guests here and many of my friends always say, what are we looking for? How do I hit a jackpot? What am I looking to do? How do I even find a game that I know is going to have a great bonus? Now, that's just like an awful lot in 10 seconds. So I'm going to scale it back and ask you, it's more of an open-ended question. When you come onto the floor and you're a novice, what exactly am I seeking? If I know I've got X amount that I'm ready to play with, and I say I want to find a game that might find a better chance at a bonus game or is something that might come up, what exactly, Danielle, are you looking for when you find a new floor to look at?
Well, I could tell you, we could answer all of your questions if they watched my videos right on my Slot Queen YouTube channel.
And where
Slot
can
Queen on
they
YouTube,
find that?
Shameless
Slot
plug.
Queen on Facebook.
No, please.
But no, really, like, so in all honesty, those questions that you threw out in the beginning, how do I find a jackpot? How do I find it? I really try and cover all that in my channel. I really, honestly, I try, so I try and find new machines on the floor. That's the way I'm putting my money into it first, showing people how it plays before they have to come put their money into it. We talk about smart gambling because there really is no way to hit a jackpot unless you bet $1,000 you're going to get a line hit for $2,000. That's a joke. Yeah. So I really do answer a lot of that. But so when I come onto a floor, I mean, if I was a brand new to slots, I think most people are attracted to the shiny, the cute.
Big money.
Yeah, maybe big money progressives. And all of whether progressives are on a machine or not makes a huge difference in the payback of the machine and the volatility, whether or not there's 3 bonuses to 1, whether or not it's old school reels where there's only so many mathematical options that can happen. So I think that actually YouTube channels are really beneficial for these new casino players because a lot of people I think that step on the casino floor, I see it every day that I'm at the casino. They put $100 in a machine just for fun. They have no idea what they're doing. Bet all over. They're not even covering the spread, but covering the proper bets and everything. And so they're actually really hurting their chances that they're going to win because they really don't know what they're doing. But I think, yeah, it's kind of depends what the new person is looking for, but they should learn about like volatility. Once they learn about volatility, you can really make some better gambling choices.
This is excellent. Actually, I want to stay right there and talk a little bit about volatility because I find that across everything, but very specifically from a slot perspective. Explain a little bit, just for a few moments here on our show, what volatility means from your perspective and the games that you see. What do you find that would be more volatile than in other instances, depending on the game that they select from your perspective?
So definitely there's kind of 3 levels of volatility-ish. They're kind of, unfortunately, really cutting out, I should probably not say that, but they're cutting out the middleman. They seem to be cutting out middle volatility. And unfortunately, because the new shiny, this, that, huff and puffs and all the things are what's grabbing people's attention, well, those are high volatility slots.
And just to clarify, when we mean by volatility, it's, when you're playing on a volatile game.
Well, I'm getting there. I haven't even gotten there.
Holy
heck! So 3 types of volatility here.
Okay, just making sure.
And Baldini's is loaded with the highest. Kidding. That's why I play here every month. Is I really like their volatility. But
good thing this isn't live and it'll be taken out.
Don't take it out. I'm going to tell it. Don't take it out. Don't take it out. Don't take it out. No, so there's 3 levels, but I was saying that it seems like they're cutting out the middle, right? Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah. So it's usually low, medium, and high. And so, for example, low volatility would be your very old, your pull handle slots
Right.
with the real wheels. Those would probably be your lowest volatility. Or what used to be Ainsworth slots used to be very low volatility. And what low volatility is you're going to get a lot of little line hits. So it's going to kind of keep you going. You're going to bet 50 cents, you win back 30, 40 cents, and you're going to get less big wins. Now, it doesn't mean that those big wins can't happen. It just means that you're going to get a little bit of playback all the time versus, let's go to one of the highest volatility, Dragon Link. Yeah?
I would agree with that.
We bicker about this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But like Dragon Link or Huff and Puff, that I say is the highest.
I would say Huff and Puff.
Yeah, volatility machine out now.
Highest volatility. You think
Yeah.
is right
So
on that.
and what that means is don't expect to get line hits. Really, you're really playing for the bonus. Everything is pretty much in the bonus, and the wins can be huge. And they're either going to be huge or nothing. Is pretty much high volatility. Not jackpot huge or nothing, but they're going to be really big or they're going to be nothing. So as long as you know, if you have $100 budget, and you could do a little bit of watching or, learning, you should not really take that unless you're just looking for 10 or 15 minutes of entertainment and that's your favorite slot, then that's okay. But if you have $100 budget and you're looking to play for a while, you should not go to Huff and More Puff because the possibility of you losing in 5 to 7 minutes is realistic. Yeah. So you would go to a lower volatility machine. A lot of you, actually Baldini's is, honestly, I promote this every month. They have maintained a ton of old slots.
Thank you.
Yes. It's huge.
Talk more
it's
about
a big
that
deal. Yeah.
From a volatility perspective.
So old slots.
Yeah, the older cabinets.
Yeah, it's so much different. I mean, it's unfortunate because the newer slotters just don't tend to get into them because the glitz and glam's not there. The volume's broken on a lot of them. So they're old slots. But the pay tables are amazing. So I would challenge anybody one day to look at the pay table on
Betty the Yeti.
Well, yeah, Betty the Yeti, and then we'll take like Dragon Link. So the highest primary symbol on Dragon Link, 5 of a kind, might yield you, bet dependent, of course, but like 25x maybe, something around that, versus the highest symbol on Betty the Yeti is going to yield you 10,000 to 1. Yeah. So the old machines, there's just so much going on there. The line hits were built in them because what happens in today's times is these games that don't produce line hits, you can't last your budget. You just can't. So unfortunately, that's not smart gambling because you have to decide like, I want to play this or I want to play this amount of time or I'd like to get this amount of entertainment. But if you stick a low budget and a high volatility, it's probably not going to happen. But here, all of these oldies that people love, Twin Win, Betty the Yeti, Mermaid is constantly asked for, the old original Buffalo with the higher pay table because that is a thing too. Baldini's has them and it's huge.
Even the original Buffalo was still on the verge of volatility.
Yeah, but I think for the time, it was extremely volatile, like when it came out. But then I think if you compare that to today's volatility, is like you would choose this, and the 2 Buffaloes give you your bet back. Yeah. So you don't find that anymore. 2 Dragon Link symbols are not going to give you your bet back. So volatility. That's the spread. Yeah.
That is the spread. It's actually crossing over into yet another.
I'm trying hard to integrate with this.
This is Danielle. This is incredible. I have to ask another question that from in your travels and in playing games, if you found one example out of so many that you could choose from where you had your most unexpected win, and again. So for all you that are listening in or watching here on YouTube, right after this episode, please just go ahead and type in Slot Queen while you're on YouTube. And that's easily the best place that you could go ahead and start if you wanted to find, hey, so I do want to take a look and see what is Dragon Link like? what's Betty the Yeti about? You know, you could find out exactly what these games are, how you get to the bonus, when you get to the bonus, what happens from there. Volatility is a incredible thing when it comes to slots, and I have found that that's exactly true. I just never really saw it spelled out so easily. Thank you. This is exactly what I was hoping to find out. So if you had to go and take a look and recall back to your most unexpected win where you had the lowest denom played, I don't know, 88 cents or maybe even less, where you found yourself at, hey, this was a really nice little streak that you hit on this particular game. What do you think what that could have been?
Definitely two of them pop right into mind because I think, so when you have your links are very popular. They have major progressives on them, mini, minor, major, grand. Some of them you have went super grand and all this stuff. But in general, and it's a huge misconception that you have to bet max to win those big numbers. And I used to be, slow down a little bit, but used to be in the casino so much, I would say we really started noticing most lightning link grands were hit on like 50 cents. And I don't know if you guys have like record,
Lots of them.
Do you feel like you see?
I would say 70% of the time.
The lower, right? Yeah. Which is super interesting. So that ended up happening to me on Ultimate Firelink, the mega ball, which is the high top prize. So I could have, that particular machine was a penny, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, and the mega stays the same. So I could have been playing 10 cent, $20 bets to try and get that mega, right? But I was just I was actually randomly playing Nickels $3 bet because the minor was high because I stake out my progressives and the minor was high and I was like, so I was going for the minor and ended up dropping me the mega ball on the top line. And out of all the years I have slotted on that particular machine, I've only seen the mega ball twice ever. And I played that machine a lot. So it was on the top line and I was like, that'll put your, in your throat because it just is like
thing in a game. Live for it.
And so it's just kind of sitting up there. And anyways, I hit it was 11,000 something on a $3 bet, which is unexpected. Very unexpected. $3 is a pretty low to reasonable bet, right. Especially when I could have been betting 20 on the machine to try and go after it. So that was a good one. And then we were live at a casino and we were arguing. Surprise, right? Shocking. Yeah, as we were behind the camera, moving, trying to find a new machine. He kept sticking his. Well, it's a long story, but his toenail in front of the camera, and I'm like, stop it, So I didn't even see what happened because I'm trying to control Slot Hubby, literally, like, stop, if you're
Story of our marriage.
And I just like sat down, put in my ticket, because when you're live, you try and kind of move quickly and push the button, and it was it was a Triple Fortune Dragon machine, which is typically just up north.
Yeah.
North?
That would be north.
And so we don't have them down here is what I'm saying. But anyways, it was a quick hit style. And so all of a sudden the yin yang started popping up and I'm still yelling at him and he goes, Hey, yeah. And it was $3 bet, $8,000 something live hit. And it was so unexpected. And I didn't even really see it happen. And I'm trying to count the yin yangs and look and it just went crazy. So those are pretty low bets.
You could literally keep going like the entire afternoon talking about that. I have to ask one additional thing because you mentioned about the different jackpots that you can land on, whether it's a mini, minor, major. You're clearly, when you're seeking a game, you're looking at what that dollar amount is at, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just use drums for an example. Mm-hmm. And you find that, I don't know, I guess everyone's appetite for, a prize is different. But there's no way a mini should be $30 without you sitting down and trying to capture that, right?
Yes, this is so bad because I am that person. I will sit down and hit and chase a $30 mini just because I know it could be done quickly.
Go, right?
Yeah, especially I know it could be done quickly.
I think we've all been there once or twice.
Yeah, for sure, I am. It's like a sense of accomplishment, and so I don't know. I'm very competitive in slotting. I really, really am. But it did come back to bite me one time in Vegas. It was a high limit mini, and it was at like 300. It starts at how many? It's gotta go. Like, come on, you remember this? And we were in the high limit room in Cosmo, and yeah, well, I think we were up to like we needed 5 times the mini to break even.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
We've all been
then
there.
went to bed without the damn mini.
I would love to tell a story about progressives. So when we first started the channel, this is when I knew that I was married to like the female David Blaine Nostradamus of slots. So one of the things about progressives is if you play in the same casino enough, you're constantly in there. You know when things are out of whack on certain games, right? So we walk into a casino, and we're supposed to be going to get something to eat. I think I wanted Panda Express. I was starving. So we're walking back, and she stops me, and she says, "It was my cousin Vinny." She says, "That's not right. That's way too high." So she goes, there's one My Cousin Vinny machine open. She sits down between 2 other people, and I kid you not, it must have been 60 seconds.
No.
She hits it. I want to say it was like a $700 or $800 that one, right? So yeah, that's pretty weird. Like, and I was like standing back, I was like, it's kind of strange. I don't know. So so she leaves the machine, and we're walking, and we're not even to Panda Express, and she looks over at the Playboy Quick Hits, and again looks at me and goes, "That's not right. That shouldn't be that high." And again, sits down. I remember kind of getting dizzy when she hit that one. I was like, I'm never going to get away with anything in life. Like this girl,
You already knew
she's
that.
like the all-knowing. Like, so like, yeah, that's she is definitely knows her progressives because when we walk through casinos, that's all she's looking at, especially the ones that we go to a lot. She's looking at progressives. So even though she tells everybody, don't chase.
I know.
We are the chasers.
I don't know if I get it, right? Yeah, chasers, right? I just don't know if I'd even consider that chasing. I just think that's just
Well, that's just smart
seeing
gambling.
it and you're saying to yourself, wait,
You're trying to be
that's
a little,
just
always
off.
use an
Yeah.
advantage when
Right?
you
It's
can.
no different than, someone coming into a sportsbook counter and looking at a number and saying, you know what, I know it's been sitting there and I know that screen's not frozen and that number's off.
Yeah, I think it's a
You
little
should
bit
just
different
play
if you
into it.
know that, though. Where a lot of people will walk into a casino, like Danielle was saying earlier, they don't know anything. They just see $1,000 major on let's say a Lightning Link game. That's not that high, right? One that can keep going up, right?
That's maxed out.
Not Lightning Link. I'm talking about Locket Link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like a Locket Link game, and go start chasing that down, not really knowing whether or not
That it
that's
just
high
hit.
for the casino or not high for the casino.
Yeah.
So kind of just knowing your slots
You
wherever
gotta
you're
know
at.
your floor.
For sure.
And knowing your casino. Sorry, Nick.
100%.
But it
Makes
is true.
sense.
I mean, you can make a better experience for yourself if you play at like a regular. This is somebody's local. They're regular. They enjoy it here. They know all the machines. And yeah, if they can walk by and spot that Dancing Drums has a $44 mini and they can sit down and win it really quick, it's not going to break the casino. And it's going to make a better experience for themselves, because you're getting some wins under your belt and stuff.
Yeah.
I've got far more burning questions that we'll answer at the end of the show that may not even be gaming related, but I can't do it. I want to get to week 8, but I have just one final thought here. Okay, everyone knows Dancing Drums. They probably know Dancing Drums probably as much as Buffalo these days. Okay, that pot's loaded. Is there really?
No,
It feels good.
It feels
Yeah.
good, right? You say that's going to close. It doesn't matter.
it does not
It could
matter.
have one coin in it. It could be bubbling over.
Yeah.
It pops when it pops.
Yes. Speaking of big wins, I did hit the grand on Dancing Drums. And it was not on the highest bet. Again, there's the highest bet's 880 and I was betting 528. And it was so random, I just couldn't believe it. But so as far as like chasing, right? There has been times I've walked into a casino and seen the Dancing Drums grand is at like 30-something thousand. I mean, that is way
That's way
overblown.
over.
That's been there
Generally, it
8,
starts
10
about
months.
10,000.
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
Nick, thank you for it's
So
generally around
one
10.
thing I won't do, and I really try and tell people, never chase a grand. I mean, you chase a major, that's fine, whatever. Never chase a grand. They're 1 in a million. I had no idea that grand was going to happen when it did for me on Dancing Drums. And even when I see a grand at 40, I am not going to sit there all night and play it because grands,
It's like hitting megabucks.
it is. It's like, yeah. But, and I teach everybody that it means zero. And a lot of times in my videos, it'll close, it'll open right back up. And I'm like, okay, there's my point. It means
That's it,
nothing.
yeah.
However, I am that person that sits down at a full pot.
Nobody will sit down on it. I mean,
Yeah.
Unless it's the only one open.
Yeah.
But
It's
generally
just like
speaking, nobody
visually
wants to.
stimulating and convincing. Yeah. But when you know how, did your parents ever tell you, right? Do as I say, not as I do. Oh God, my dad drove me freaking nuts. But I tell my viewers that I'm like, do as I say, because my words are real. Just don't do what I do, because that's a bad gambler in me.
The psychological aspect.
I think it's going to be actually. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be the anti in all this. If I ever happen to sit down in front of a slot machine, I'm going to go with the empty pots. That's it. That's what I'm just going to do from now on, instead of the full ones, where everyone's already loaded up on all the full ones.
It's overdue.
It's overdue. Yes. All right, so a little bit of bookkeeping here. I wanted to go and take a look at week number 8. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at week number 7. Nick, your results in week 7 were, let's just say you stayed afloat. 2-2.
Okay.
Under 47.5 in the Houston-Green Bay game. That was a winner. You went under in the first half, 23.5. You looked good after one quarter.
Yeah, no, it's not
3-3. Then they scored an awful lot.
Wheels came off.
Steelers plus the 2, that was a win. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night, they, it was Mike
looking.
Evans.
Yeah, I'm going to blame Evans on this one.
And then Godwin.
Yeah,
and then, the sprockets
it was
just started
kind
popping
of
off.
overall lack of general talent.
With
in
all that
game.
being said, with all the things that happened against Tampa just from a bad karma,
God, yeah.
you still kind of had a shot there
No,
on the
yeah,
last drive to get a back door.
I was hoping that did not work out.
No. So let's take a look at week number 8. I just want to touch on a couple of new, fresh games. We already talked about the Cowboys and Niners, have our opinions set there. We talked a little bit about the Tennessee and Detroit game. Got Alan on one side and Nick on the other. I always love that from a bookmaking perspective. But a couple other games I wanted to look at in the afternoon slot. Buffalo is up in Seattle, so the Bills, a 3-point favorite, 5-2 record in Seattle, coming off of a very convincing win at home, 46.5. We kind of talked about that home field. Alan, let's start with you. Buffalo, 2 losses on the season, 3-point favorite, but they're entering real enemy territory all the way on the other side of the country. No DK Metcalf, that I confirm. So it's going to be Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. So it's still...
Wait, no Metcalf?
No Metcalf.
I got to make some fancy changes real quick.
There is no Metcalf.
3 points too much, Alan?
No, I do think the Bills. I think the Bills are going to win by a touchdown. I think Amari Cooper is going to make a big difference for the Bills. I mean, you're talking about a guy.
Saw it last week.
Yeah,
last week.
seam routes, post routes.
Yeah.
He's going to stretch the field. He can get over the top. And all that's going to really do is they do that a couple times, and Josh Allen's going to even have more open field than he's ever had probably to run the ball.
So true.
So I think they win by a touchdown.
Who has more production this week, Cooper or Adams?
Ooh, great question.
Oh,
And we'll touch on that Raider game in a bit.
Oh, stumped you on that one, didn't I?
yeah. So I mean, are you talking yards? Are you talking catches? Are we talking fantasy? Or are we talking about
Just over. Who's going to have a better impact to their team to help them win? The
Adams? I think Adams. I think Aaron Rodgers is just going to make a point to just
Jets
force
have to
feed
win,
that
don't
guy.
they?
Force feed him big time.
Danielle, you've seen Seattle and their home field several times, I'm sure, throughout the seasons. Think they keep it close here, or you think Buffalo steps away and wins by more than 3?
I actually love the Seattle's 6-man, love the fans. I like Seattle's energy. I don't know much about the Bills this year, so I would pull for Seattle.
Nick, you think this game lands close to the 3?
I think it does land close to the 3, just mainly because every time you have out of conference game, we'll call it that. You know, they only play each other once every 4 years, unless it's in the Super Bowl. So they don't really know depth. They don't understand. And from a better side, I generally don't like betting on these games because I can't go back and look at historical data, of seeing like, hey, I always say, the trend is your friend, and it's really hard to kind of judge these games. But Bills, I'd almost take the Seahawks in the money line play on this one.
You guys better be marking this down because I'm going to watch the next
I
show.
actually am. I'm here. That's why this laptop's always open. I'm actually writing down
no
right
way
now.
Seattle beats the Bills.
Seattle money line is just been documented as one of Week 8 selections. Nick, do you want to actually go and put down an official pick here on the Cowboys-Niners game, or you just want to let the heart watch that one?
I'm just going to let the heart
That's
watch
fine.
that
This
one.
is okay. This is what this show is about. Let's go to the team that we talked about at the top of the show here. Kansas City on the road, 6-0 in Vegas, 2-5 on the year. Kansas City up to 9 points now. The total is 41. So a burning question here, and we got some others to wrap up the show, but DeAndre Hopkins here. Obviously brought in to fill a really big need for Kansas City with the injuries that they've been suffering in their wide receiver room. No more Rice. Obviously, Hollywood Brown has been on the IR all year, so he's not going to be amounting to much. Hopkins, 15 catches, 173 yards in Tennessee, really didn't do much. Maybe he's going to think otherwise, Alan. What do you think here about Hopkins and how he's going to perform the rest of the season here in Kansas City?
So we have a lot of Kansas City Chiefs fans, of Danielle's followers. I mean, just a ton of them. I mean, we're always at each other's throats. I'm a Niners fan, and at this point, the Chiefs are like the Dodgers to me. So you're always kind of keeping an eye on your enemies, how they're
lost
strengthening
1,000
themselves.
subscribers.
It would be dumb of me to say that Hopkins doesn't help them, but I don't think he helps them in a way that makes them more untouchable. I mean, they're already undefeated. They already spread the ball around all over the place. When they get Pacheco back, they're going to start running. It's really about that defense. Mm-hmm. That defense, with no injuries, is solid up and down. Now, Hopkins also, what is he, 30, 31?
He's up there. I know that.
I think he still had
Far north of
1,000
30.
yards last year, but he was the only thing on that team. And his separation rate right now is worse than ever. Like he's not that downfield threat anymore. So what's he going to do? Catch 3-yard pass, 4-yard pass? He's not going to break away from people.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at, and we've talked a lot about it on this show, and I always stress, offensive line. If you don't have an O-line, you can't do anything. You just look at Sam Darnold and what he was able to do with the Jets, and then he went to the other 10 teams he was with, and now you actually have a Vikings team that has a season line, and you look what he's able to do with it. And so I think the one exception to that might be the Chiefs because you do have Mahomes and what he's able to do with scrambling.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I think, giving that the quarterback more time, it's going to give Hopkins more of an opportunity to get downfield, to get open. And at that point, he's got that football IQ, right? He's going to be able to just look and see, hey, okay, they're going to be set up in a 2-man defense or whatever it might be. And kind of quickly call a go route or a hot route real quick with Mahomes. But I think that Hopkins helps him simply because defensive coordinators will now try to scheme around that. And once that happens, you're going to see more opportunity for Kelsey. You're going to see more opportunity from some of the other guys on their team because all that focus, I think, is going to be going towards Hopkins, you would assume.
Yeah, so I see that a little bit different. I don't think Hopkins is going to be able to stretch the field for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think he's going to bring that dynamic. What I think he's going to do is he's going to draw attention, but guess who's going to get open down the field now? Worthy. They're not going to be able to play that over-the-top scheme against Worthy. So you might actually see Worthy end up breaking out the second half of the season. Hopkins is going to draw the attention. He is going to get his catches. Let me ask you this. Out of the 3 major players we've seen go, Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, and Adams, who's the most impactful out of all of them for their team?
Cooper.
Exactly.
100%.
Who's the least impactful for the team?
I would say Adams.
Really?
I think so.
See, I don't think so. I think the dynamics between Adams and Aaron Rodgers is going to get to the place where we've seen it in Green Bay. I mean, in just one game, they
How
were
many
pretty
championships did they win?
Close. Who?
Rodgers and Adams in Green Bay?
Didn't they win one together?
0.
So, Rodgers won his without Adams. Mm-hmm. Okay, but who were the other teams at that point in time that they were playing against?
I'm going to assume the Patriots.
Yeah.
Not Green Bay, but
Yeah, probably the Giants around that time also. So you had good teams, good defense, stuff like that. I think Hopkins is the least. Yeah. And I'm waiting to see Cooper moved. When Cooper gets moved, he might be, just as impactful as I'm talking about Kupp. I'm sorry, Kupp.
Yeah.
When
Kupp
gets moved, I think he'll be just as impactful.
I think he might be staying after last night's game, though.
I know, right?
I like what you said there. I want to circle back to when he gets moved. The word "when," because you're all in. You're thinking Cooper Kupp absolutely gets dealt here. Prior to last night, which was a Rams victory where they put up 30, I had Kupp on the move for sure. I don't know. I mean, still, you got a 36-year-old quarterback. You got a win that you may have gotten on credit last night. I don't know if this is a Super Bowl caliber team. I mean, it's
and they need a rebuild, right?
100%.
They've coughed up everything for their future. They need the draft picks. You got guys like Tutu Atwell that aren't exploding. You got Puka. That's a great starting piece, right? But if you trade Cooper right now, and let's say you do get a second-round pick and a player or something in return, I mean, you're not beating the 49ers in the playoffs if they get there. You're probably not going to beat Seattle.
Nope.
So at this point, you need to go into that base. You sold. If you're already discussing trading Stafford and Kupp in the same week, you already know where the franchise is at.
Heck, Alan, they might not beat Arizona actually at this point the way Arizona's playing.
No, I think
so. Forget about winning the division or the wild card. You can't even get out of last place.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Arizona because that's one game that I had circled this week. It's a 10 a.m. game. How do you have the Dolphins getting 4 points over the Cardinals?
Yes.
Tua's coming back.
Yes.
He's going to get 3 concussions in the first half. He's going to have
not
happy
that kind
feet.
of show.
Okay. I'm just saying, that's my game of my lock of the week. Cardinals,
Arizona.
Cardinals +4.
Just going to go ahead and just write that down because I knew I was going to come back to Nick and ask him for games that are off of my main buffet menu for the episode. But let me just go ahead and write down cards.
Okay, so I want to circle back to the Chiefs game.
Please.
You build these spreads and over-under.
Yes.
Magical numbers, right? So, true question here. How much do the Swifties put the Chiefs over?
Randy, damn it. You've done it again. He's not even here.
Is Randy a Swiftie?
Oh, he'll go off for hours.
So are they fueling this craziness by Kansas City, or is it just a coincidence?
It is a major coincidence. I actually let's to come back to this game, and I wanted to because I wanted to set the skillet to the high temperature that I could. Danielle, obviously, forget about a mixed quarterback room. The Raiders are throwing Gardner Minshew out there. There's really not much to really throw to outside of maybe Jacoby Myers. Obviously, Bowers is a fantastic tight end that can do it all right now. Some are even saying he might be the best tight end in the game. A little premature in my eyes, but can they keep this inside of double digits? Forget about a win here, hosting Kansas City. Can they keep it inside of double digits?
The Raiders? No.
Okay. So we're laying points. Meaning
they're going to get blown out, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. Nick?
I'm going to go back. The trend is your friend. I mean, what is Mahomes' record against
They're
the
winning
Raiders?
Despite him.
I like the Raiders and the points in this one.
Alan?
I think the Chiefs stomp them.
It happened again.
I think the Chiefs stomp them. The Raiders are in such
I don't know off the top of
place.
my head, but I'm going to say I think the Raiders is the only team in the NFL that Mahomes does not have a winning record against.
+9. That's all you're getting.
Okay.
You're not getting 10.
I'll
just so you know, for the record.
Alternate point spread by an extra 1.5.
And I still think rosters matter. When you're facing Derek Carr, it's a lot different than going against Minshew. When you got Josh Jacobs and you're trying to stop Samir White,
completely different.
I would agree.
This team the Raiders are broken at this point. Spirit is broken.
Yeah. They couldn't even beat the Panthers.
No, they did not.
I know that's what knocked me out of my last man standing.
Oh, yeah, I lost that. That's such crap,
Nick,
too.
I only have 3 picks here for you, Nick. Give me one more. I've got Seattle on the money line. You've got the Cardinals plus the points. versus Miami and the Raiders plus the points. I appreciate the cut of your jib here with all the dogs, but you got anything else that jumped out here in week number 8?
I think it's a dog week because I like the Commanders too. We don't really know who's playing for quarterback for them, so I think if you're in the Bears defensive, I think you kind of gotta. It's tough to game plan around that because I think they're two, Marcus Mariota and the other guy. I mean, very different styles of play, and you even saw the Mariota come in last week and put up some good points. So I like the Commanders getting 3 points at home over the Bears.
That's exactly, again, and this number climbs significantly, obviously, on the news that Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback for Washington Commanders, is probably not going to play because when he got popped in those ribs, you could kind of tell immediately. He said, yeah, it's helmet off my head
He's
time.
also my fantasy quarterback, unfortunately.
Not anymore, he's not this week. So
I hit that waiver wire hard this week.
It is the Bears by 3. That's our current line at the Book of Baldini's 3 and minus 120 on the Commanders. I'm going to let you off with the fair vig. However, Bears laying 3, the total 43 in Washington. You're grabbing points here again, irregardless of whether it's the Mariota show or somebody else. Mm-hmm. This is
I like it.
Absolutely perfection. I am.
I agree with you. I agree with on that. I
so
think Commanders
it's
get this. I don't care who's quarterback for the Commanders.
I'm just going to go ahead and write that down. This is, I'm telling you, this could literally break the record for the longest episode we've ever had because I still have more. And so here we are. We've reached the end of our incredible episode. Once again, thank you so much to Danielle and Alan for joining us here at the Book at Baldini's. Again, if you can just right at the end of this episode, go ahead and find her. She's just right at the very top of your search bar. Just type in Slot Queen. And what I wanted to do was end this really fun episode. First off, before we get to these questions, Danielle, where else outside of YouTube can they find you on socials?
Facebook, it's Slot Queen. And then on Instagram, which I'm not as active on, but might be kicking it up some, it's 916 Slot Queen.
916. So, but clearly, YouTube is very first. You can find all the great content there. And then everywhere else. So just go ahead and soak all that up from a slot perspective because I got to tell you, I've learned an awful lot here today. And this was very, very enjoyable for me. I could say that. This is the less I talk, the better the episode goes, is the way I like to look at it. All right.
And there was no unscripted music.
There is no unscripted music, and this is always a good thing.
So I just got to throw a little dig at him, even though he's under the weather.
Okay. Alan, Danielle, 5 burning questions to end our episode. Best sandwich.
I am a huge fan of Italian meatball or sausage sandwiches.
Danielle.
Pastrami and provolone from Togo.
Just from Togo's, or okay? I mean, so
or
if you go to Porter Subs, you're like, get that out of here. I don't want
yeah,
you don't
no,
call it pastrami.
Good.
Togo's or I don't even
very
go out.
Specific.
Yeah.
Good. What is the one thing that you own that you really should throw out, Danielle?
Oh.
Do you have a Klay Thompson jersey?
I actually do have a Klay Thompson shirt.
What do I own?
Probably for me, all my fantasy football draft boards. I have years of fantasy football draft boards in my closet.
They got to go.
Yeah.
Jeez, I mean, there's probably a lot.
Everything's perfect, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the easiest answer is all my clothes that don't fit anymore. I mean, that's the truth. Why am I keeping those things? By the time I get back in them, they're not going to be in style anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone has that in their closet.
Yeah.
Come on. Everyone does. Danielle, what's the scariest animal?
Oh, a snake.
Shark.
A challenge flag. That's a fish
Thank you.
and a reptile.
No.
It's not an animal.
This is not your question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm throwing the challenge flag because
scary.
we just got back from Hawaii, not even 2 weeks ago, and he wanted to go on a Shark Tank. So
Different.
Face your fears. I like it.
Different. In a cage. I wanted to see a shark in a cage.
Andy broke his number one rule, and we snorkeled in the ocean.
In a very protective cove. And then when I did go out too deep, I was like this, making sure I was within 5 feet of everybody else.
Truth, yeah.
The next question can't be dovetailed more perfectly. Alan, window or aisle?
It was always window, but these last 2 trips, I went to Tennessee and the Hawaii trip, I sat at the window, and anything over an hour, I'm going aisle from now on. I need to be able to stretch. Because you feel so bad if you have to get up, especially being a big guy like me, and trying to push your way by everybody, get everybody out to do anything. So you just sit there with your legs cramping. It's definitely aisle from now on.
Danielle?
Well, because I usually travel with hubby, he always wants the window, so I always take the middle, which is just stinks, so I'm always squished. But on this last trip from Hawaii, somehow Hawaiian Airlines, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but they split us up. So I was, we were split up and we were both window, and I'll never do it again because I have to excuse myself to use the restroom quite a bit. And my 2 partners here in the middle in the aisle fell asleep, and we had a problem on the plane, so we were on the plane. Anyways, they slept for 5 hours, and I'm like in the window, like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna explode,
Pee my pants.
I'm gonna pee my pants, and what am I gonna do? I'm like tapping on the thing, tapping on the window, and finally I'm like getting ready to just go. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, wait. Can I get past
if you don't mind. Pro tip.
So I'm going aisle.
Pro tip for couples that are flying that really like that aisle: just go ahead and grab a row and just grab aisle. You just got the aisle that is separating you. It's far better than the alternative.
Absolutely.
Okay, last questions for you, Danielle, Alan. You only get to listen to one song for the rest of your life. Danielle, what is it?
Choose carefully, my love.
I already know mine.
For me, it would be our wedding song, Amazed.
For me, it would be Oceans by Hillsong. It's a religious song. That's just beautiful. I love it.
Trader.
Yeah, Amazed is good.
I was going to say, the wedding song is pretty...
Yeah. But I've also been married now
you...
for 25 years, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've broken the whole I'm going the same route as her just to stay out of trouble. I don't do it
I like
anymore.
it.
Thank you all so much for staying with us on this really very special episode. I want to thank once again Alan and Danielle for joining us here on our episode of the Bookie and Better here at Baldini's Casino. Would love to have you back on again the next time you come by. You're always welcome here. Thank you so much for joining us. For Nick Schulte, I'm your host, Robert Kowalski. Can't wait to see you again next time here, the Bookie and the Better Show.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Better Show. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Hit that subscribe button and join us.